Gratitude is the state of the creature par excellence. Do you realize that once upon a time you did not exist, were not even thought of? At a certain point in time, you started to wake up and perceive that things were happening around you. The first months of your existence were a perpetual surprise. This is all new. It's come out of somewhere. I am. And then, bit by bit, one gets used to being. One acquires rights. And the consequence is that one complains if they are not satisfied. Now, in a small family, that is more likely to happen than in a large one, because one child is the center of the local solar system and acquires many rights in a short time, over which he will not easily abdicate. He will become a controller, a grumbler, and yes, an ungrateful creature if we're not careful. There is one element I would like to look at this morning in particular, for our attitude towards life as creatures pervades every part of our existence without exception, and therefore that of our community/married life. A priest, as you know, spends all his time listening to pain. Much of it is marital, before, during, and after. Yesterday, I was in Wales for my niece's marriage, and it was an occasion to look at what gives at present all the guarantees of being a happy existence, for the groundwork is done. But alas, one looks around and sees what pain is in marriage. Stemming fundamentally from this very issue, we have acquired rights also over someone else, to such an extent that we have got used to conquering that person and make no more effort. Delicacy goes through the window, and scenes come in. As a priest, one picks up the vibes fairly quickly when one goes into a family situation. Is there peace and joy here? I would like, my friends, to invite you this morning to look at this issue very carefully. Many people go through life and do not actually succeed in conquering a man or a woman. Others have conquered and they lose suddenly and unexpectedly. And then, and only then, do they fully realize what they had when it's too late. It can also be the case of a child with regard to its parent. Yesterday, I was reminded of something which nearly moved me to tears. It's what had happened years ago at that very spot where this wedding was taking place. Many years ago, it was a local custom in that part of Wales that just on the occasion of the marriage, there would be a game. It was that the bride had to hide herself. The men would look for her, and it was the triumphant bridegroom who was to bring her back. this happened to a certain Rhys. In this little village, which is only until recently accessible by sea from opposite Trefor, for Nant Gwrtheyrn is way down, and we used to call it the hole in the hole. Recently they have made a road, but before then it was only a donkey track. It was a self-sufficient community living from the local mine, still there but unused, of the best granite possibly in the world. Rhys looked for Meinir, his bride, and she was very well hidden. He carried on looking, as did all the young men in the village. They carried on looking, and she was not to be found. The game ceased to be a game at this point, and everyone got very worried. The night drew on, and darkness came into this wedding on every level. Rhys deeply loved Meinir, and did not know what on earth had happened, and the only conclusion he could draw was that despite all the signals, she did not want to marry him, and had withdrawn discreetly from the scene. From that day forward, Rhys became depressed, mad with sorrow and broken heart. His life lingered on for about 40 years, and one day there was a tremendous storm of thunder and lightning. Something unexpected happened. The thunder and lightning hit a very big oak tree, which split in two, disclosing the skeleton of Meinir, still wearing her bridal clothes. 40 years, which could have been 40 years of earthly bliss. It's the same on every wedding day. The couple has heaven or purgatory before them for their 40 or 50 years of innings together. The time will pass. Now, a very heavy proportion of couples finds that they will not get near those 40 years or 50 years together, but something will separate them somewhere along the line. Or, if they remain together, those magic words of please and thank you will have long been forgotten, as will that important one, I am sorry. And more interesting than the partner will be then the magic screen, which does the conversation for them. Joy becomes survival. Love becomes supporting and bearing. I wonder what Rhys thought when he saw the bridal clothes 40 years later. What joy was never known. One of you gave me this testimony the other day. I read it with emotion. It's too long to quote, but it's a man who was dying, actually died, and went down under, and was shown what was there. And only when he got back and was given a second chance did he start to treat his wife and children as he ought to have. My friends, which way will your innings go?
Oh Gareth a Siwan. A byddai di ras ein harglwyddus I Grist a'ch hariad yw, ac yn deithas ysbryd lan, aros gyda chi ar chais yn anwyl chi, o'r awr hon I bydd. Amen.
Amen.
O ddew ein tad, dyrodd y fendydd yn farchais, a grodas Gareth a Siwan. A byddai di ras ein harglwyddus I Grist a'ch hariad yw, ac yn deithas ysbryd lan, aros gyda chi ar chais yn anwyl chi, o'r awr hon I bydd. Amen.